Okay, a quick update while I make coffee. I finished stitching up the sides of the boots. I haven't finished all the upper yet because I'm too busy watching this guy freak out on this thing. Yeah, so these are all stitched up, and I trimmed them with an X-Acto knife. You can see stitched. Looks alright. Some small bits that are a little wonky, especially around there. So they're crossing over, but it's not too bad. This is glued. I glued this together so that I can stitch it. I put a little glue. You don't want to put a glue on the vamp because it's hard to tell exactly where this is going to line up. So you put glue on the underside of this and then push it down against this, and you can see that's that. And then I'm just gonna do 2 lines of stitching like that. Just the same method. It doesn't have a little gracing it covered, but the lace is there. But 2 lines just to connect those 2 pieces. No big deal. The shoes are looking alright. And I did one other thing. Hold on, coffee time. Actually, I don't need to make coffee yet. Oh, I did one other thing after the last video, which I should have done on video, but like I just timed it out wrong where I wasn't able to do it on video because I started soaking the pieces of leather, and then they started soaking. I had to mold them, and I couldn't make a video at the time I was molding them, so I decided to do it anyway. And I'm gonna have to come and just tell you how I did it now. So I'm gonna get it at last without anything on it. So remember I traced out the pieces of leather. I cut them out to sort of, they have to be bigger than the bottom of the last because they're gonna change in size a little bit. So I put them in this thing with some water in it and let them sit for a couple hours. I went inside Deadpool and came back, they were all wet. Then I hammered them onto the bottom of the last. 1 nail that lined up the little hole in the heel. 1 nail that ends up right there in the center. And 1 nail that holds the toe in. And then I trimmed them to be the right size with a little bit of extra. I may have actually trimmed off too much in the instep area right here. And then I nailed them in. Nail, nail, nail. And then I took rubber bands. People use different methods. Some people use gauze. Some people use, I don't know, what else. All kinds of different things. But basically you just want to, I mean, in a real factory you'd have like an air cushion thing that pushes it up into the foot and molds it to the bottom of the foot. But I obviously don't have one of those. So I just rubber band the shit out of it so it sticks around. I may actually have to redo this one because you can see right here, it went in a little bit too tight right there on the back of the heel. I'm gonna trim it up and see if I can work it out. But the problem is when it's all wet, the leather gets bigger and then it dries out and it tightens up and shrinks a little bit. So this one I've already trimmed out. You can see on the toe, I try to trim in at an angle a little bit. So like when we're stitching it down, we can kind of stitch inward and get a little bit of a rounded toe. And then I come up through here. I'm going to videotape myself trimming that one. I'm just showing you what I did on the previous one. And try to get it kind of thin on there. Try to get it a little bit high and thin right here. I'm going to sand it down a little bit too. It's not great. And I try to get a really, I almost dropped it there, a really flat angle on the heel. So when the heel comes in, I want it to kind of go, to follow the curve but go straight down. I don't want it to have any like excess where it curves in back there. This one, I really wish I would have done this a little bit different, but you can see it's just like a tiny bit tight. I trimmed it in a little too much right there. There's a tiny bit of a ridge. I'm not sure if I'm going to redo it or not yet. I'm going to make some coffee and I'm going to trim this one out and I'll videotape while I'm trimming it.